New Japan Pro Wrestling of America just had their latest big show, NJPW Resurgence, and I'm going to give you guys a review of that show. Also coming out of that is Will Ospreay making his return back. He's actually going to be wrestling on NJPW Strong, and some more news that might allude to him actually being in All Elite Wrestling very soon. We're also going to be talking about AEW Rampage last week, Andrade El Idolo versus Kenny Omega at Triplemania, and a bunch of previews this coming week for both Dynamite, WWE Summerslam, and NXT Takeover 36 this Saturday and Sunday. Guys, this is the 61st edition of the Chill Spill Podcast. The yes is silent, by the way. Yo, what is going on, guys? It is your boy Tyler Mask, aka Suplex. That's SOPLEX on TikTok and SOPLEXX on Twitch.tv, aka Tyler Kuhn Williams, aka the one who lived. And guys, welcome back to the 61st edition of the Chill Spill Podcast, and that is pill spelled with an S, but it is silent, much like the crowd at the United Center this Friday on AEW Rampage will not be by the end of the show. It has finally come upon us. We've been talking about this for weeks, pretty much a month now. The AEW Rampage show, the biggest arena AEW's ever done, the United Center in Chicago, just 2 weeks out, 2 or 3 weeks out from the All Out show. Really, you know, it's funny when you think about it. They're having a show in Chicago this Friday, and then in basically 2 weeks, you could say, they're going to have 3 back-to-back-to-back shows in Chicago. They really love Chicago, if you guys had not noticed this by now. But this week is the week. Friday is the day. It's been rumored for many, many months that CM Punk is making his way into AEW. He's virtually signed. He keeps hinting at it on Twitter, on Instagram, everywhere else. We're going to see this Friday. We're going to see. I mean, everyone's already had their hopes up high that it's going to happen. Even AEW's alluded to it themselves. I myself have bought into the hype at this point. I'm certain it's going to happen. I'm certain it's going to happen. This Friday, I will be live for AEW Rampage with my good friend George. I actually have another person who has not seen wrestling in 10 years as well, who's going to be joining me for this show as well. One of my friends is going to be watching this show with us live on stream. I can't wait for that as well. He's actually pretty excited. It's going to be his first time watching anything wrestling related since 2011. I did not tell him or George that CM Punk may be there, so they're going to be genuinely shocked. We'll see if they even remember who CM Punk is. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned CM Punk to George, so I think he remembers who CM Punk is. The other guy, I'm going to say he probably, I like to think that he remembers who he is. I don't know, but we'll see. I don't think they know what his theme song was in WWE when he left. So if Cult of Personality hits, they might not pop as big as I will or the crowd will. But when they see him, you'll know. We'll know. I'm super excited. Like I said, there's no reason to preview Rampage this week because there's no card for it yet. We'll get a card tonight on Dynamite, I assume. I think George might be joining me to watch Dynamite tonight. I don't do live streams for Dynamite anymore. My schedule does not correlate with it. I would love nothing more than to do live streams for AEW Dynamite, but my schedule does not correlate for it right now. And I've been trying to get that fixed, and it doesn't seem to get fixed. So just kind of have to adapt and go with Rampage live streams for now. But we're going to talk about AEW in a bit. Let's first get into New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, before we get into this, I'm sure you could tell by my voice. I'm speaking in a lower tone. My throat is killing me right now. I had a really bad nosebleed yesterday. And, I had a lot of nasal drip and then blood went to the back of my throat at points in time. So I've been coughing, a lot yesterday and then this morning. So my throat ain't having it. So I'm not going to have a long podcast session today, but we're going to get through this show, and we are going to get this content out. So let's talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling first, because they had their NJPW Resurgence show live from the LA Coliseum in Los Angeles, California last Saturday, and I overall thought it was a good show. I don't think it was a really good show or a great show or a drop everything show, but it was good. Like, I enjoyed what I saw for the most part. There were 2 matches that I missed because during this show was Triplemania. Now, I did not watch all of Triplemania. I only watched one match from Triplemania. You guys can assume what match that was. I'll be talking about that a little bit later on in the podcast. But let's talk about the matches I did see at NJPW Strong. The first of which being the opening match, which was Karl Fredricks versus Alex Coughlin. Now, Karl Fredricks was a prime star for New Japan when they started bringing in the LA Dojo Young Lions into the frame of New Japan Television back in 2019. Karl Fredricks was kind of their guy. Like, you had Alex Coughlin and Clark Connors and I'm not gonna lie, I forgot the other guy's name. It was like the 4th guy in there. I forgot his name, honestly. But Karl Fredricks was like the guy they were going to really get behind. And he was athletic and he's really good in the ring. I never really saw like what they saw in him. Like, I saw that he's a good wrestler. He is a good wrestler. But I feel like I look at Clark Connors and I feel like he is a bit more like of a guy I like to see in the ring. And then Alex Coughlin has more to offer in strikes. And then it's like Karl Fredricks. I think maybe it's his personality or his gimmick. Like, his gimmick just doesn't have one. I think that's his issue with me, is that he has no gimmick. And on the mic, like, there's nothing to ran home about him. So then when he gets in the ring and he wrestles, it's like, all right, cool, Karl Fredricks, yeah, cool. Alex Coughlin, there's still some meat on the bone with him because he's at a young line where Karl Fredricks is a graduate, which you wouldn't really know he's a graduate because he wrestles with young lions all the time and there really hasn't been any profile feuds on NJPW Strong that I know of. So you really wouldn't know that, but he is. They had a pretty fair match in here. Karl Fredricks won with the elevated DDT. Got to put the rookie in his place. Alex Coughlin is on his, I believe, his trial gauntlet matches with some wrestlers in NJPW Strong. So he's going to take his round of L's and then be prime and ready for an excursion very soon. Wherever that is, because apparently you can't take excursions now during COVID, which is understandable. A match I caught the tail end of was a 5-man tag team match, which featured a bunch of guys in there. One of those guys was Yuya Uemura, and he actually got the pin in his match. Now, I'm saying this because after the match, I really was happy because he got on the microphone and he was like, yeah, he broke in English, but he was like saying his introduction to United States and that he's going to be doing his excursion in the United States and that he would like nothing more than to join the LA Dojo. And Katsuri Shibata comes out and he's like, come with me. And he gives him the LA Dojo shirt. And it's official, guys. Yuya Uemura has joined the LA Dojo. He will be continuing his run in New Japan, his excursion in NJPW Strong with Ren Narita. I am really excited for this because Ren Narita is one of my sons. He's really talented, and I feel like he can learn a lot from teaming with Ren Narita. Like, I feel like they could have a great feud. They could have some really great matches. Of course, Yuya Uemura is such a bombastic wrestler. He could have great matches with anybody, but he and Ren Narita together as a tag team, I'm excited for that. So I wanted to note that real quick before we hop into the rest of the matches on this card. We had Hikuleo versus Juice Robinson. I was in and out of this match because while this match was happening, the Kenny Omega and Andrade match was starting. So I really wasn't keyed in, and I think most people weren't keyed into this match either because when you look at this match on paper, Juice Robinson versus Hikuleo, it's kind of like, I don't really care for that. Like, I like Juice Robinson. Juice Robinson is a damn good wrestler and can pull out some great matches depending on a person. Hikuleo, he's developing. I feel like he's not really there yet. And when I see his name on a card, I just kind of like, all right, well, I guess. The match, what I saw was okay. Hikuleo went for a choke slam and Juice countered it into a roll-up and got the pin. He got the surprise victory over Hikuleo, so Juice is getting the W. After that, we had Tomohiro Ishii versus Moose, which is the match I was most excited for on this card. And it delivered. It was a really good match. I would say probably the best match on the entire show. As far as Ishii matches goes, I've seen in the past, this is probably somewhere middle of the road. It is not anywhere close to matches that he's had in the past with Chris Hero or a Keith Lee or a Vault. Like, it's none of those matches that he's had with other guys, like, other, American wrestlers in the past. But, it was good for what it's worth. Moose dominated a lot of the match. Like, Ishii got his ass beat for, like, the first portion. Really, I would say I would say he got his ass beat for 75% of it. Like, Ishii was the underdog in this match. And when he came back, it was a nice comeback. And I felt like Moose's style and Ishii's style, like, they clashed. It wasn't in, like, the best way, though, because I felt like you know what Ishii's capable of, and you know, like, what he can do in the ring. And what Moose can offer, like, I don't want to say it's not much, because that's an insult to Moose. But I felt like the offense on Ishii was not really super, what's the word I'm looking for? Super divisive. Like, it wasn't anything like that I've never seen before, you know? So when I was seeing him put in blows and all that kind of stuff, and then Ishii selling, it was nice, but, you know, I wasn't crazy about it. Ishii didn't pick up the win, hitting his trademark brainbuster onto Moose. So Moose took a L here, but hey, he went out like a beast. After that, we had the Good Brothers versus Jon Moxley and Yuji Nagata. It was Jon Moxley and X, and this had people stirring up like, oh, it could be Bryan Danielson, it might be CM Punk, which I never thought for a second to be either one of those two guys. Like, oh, it could be Bryan Danielson. I said it could be Darby Allin, it could be this guy, it could be that guy. People are fantasy booking who's gonna make the New Japan debut. And then it was Yuji Nagata. And Yuji Nagata got a good pop, but you could tell a lot of the crowd was disappointed that it wasn't somebody else. I ain't gonna lie, I was a little disappointed that it wasn't somebody else. But they had a pretty okay tag team match. Like, the Good Brothers do nothing for me personally, but it was nice to see Jon Moxley, Yuji Nagata in here. Nagata ended up getting pinned in this match with the Magic Killer, and he got pinned by Carl Anderson, I believe. After the match, we saw Guerrillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tongaloa. They came out and they went face to face with the Good Brothers. Good Brothers backed off. We saw the equivalent of Fresh and Fit versus Abba and Preach here. The Good Brothers playing the role of Fresh and Fit. Bunch of bitches. But hey, I'm excited for that match when it happens. We had the co-main event of the show, Jay White versus David Finlay for the Never Openweight Championship. These guys have had some good matches in the past. I said it in a previous video before, but when I was at the Bullet Club block party, Jay White had a Q&A hosted by Alicia Atut, and when I got a chance to ask a question, I asked him who was his favorite opponent to face. I framed it a different way so it wouldn't seem like I was asking him, like, you know, a smarky question. But I basically asked him, like, who was your favorite opponent? Who has been the guy you like working with the most? And he thought about it, and then he replied back with David Finlay. And people were very shocked. People were thinking he's going to say, oh, he's going to say Tanahashi, he's going to say Okada, he's going to say Ishii, he's going to say this guy, that guy, this prolific, amazing guy. And then he says David Finlay, and it's like, oh, well, that's interesting. Because it's like David Finlay is not, he's obviously not anywhere near the level of Okada or Tanahashi or Ibushi. And David Finlay's good. But it's like, wow, he chose David Finlay. That's quite the endorsement. I went back and watched some of their matches, and their matches are good. They had some good matches in the past. This is another good one, but it went like 22 minutes, and it didn't need to go that long. It could have been cut in half by like 5 minutes, and it would have been, honestly, a better match. A lot of it was Jay White working over David Finlay, and David Finlay having some hope spots in here. And I think what kind of soured, I don't want to say soured the match, that makes it sound like it was a bad one, but I think what kind of hindered the match a bit was that going into this match, obviously David Finlay is the babyface and Jay White is the heel, but the crowd did not care for David Finlay at all. They actually booed David Finlay in this match, and David Finlay did nothing wrong. Like, it was nothing that he said. He didn't say nothing on Twitter get ratioed. He wasn't acting heelish or nothing. It was just the crowd was very pro Jay White. And I think the reason why they're pro Jay White is because Jay White's been doing a lot of good shit at Impact Wrestling that I've heard. I don't watch Impact, but from what I heard, I mean, I heard this man has Chris Bay in the Bullet Club. And listen, as a black American myself, I'm happy to see a black American, a black guy, a person of melanin descent in the Bullet Club finally, and a talented black wrestler in the Bullet Club. So he has that going for him. He's cutting promos in Impact Wrestling, and Jay White, he's a guy who's taken, like, okay. So Jay White obviously is a foreigner in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's a gaijin. He speaks fluent English. We know his capable promo abilities in New Japan, But the promo style in New Japan and the promo styles in most American companies are different. So it's like, how would he adapt to the television style of an Impact Wrestling? And I felt like he adapted very well, very, very quickly. So I felt like the Impact crowd cheering him kind of spilled over to that that I almost said North Carolina, that California crowd cheering him as well. Like, Jay White is very well received in the States. So, in turn, we got something similar to Britt Baker and Red Velvet, where it's like, it's not a case where David Finlay sucks. It's not even a case where David Finlay's the heel. They just like Jay White more, so they boo David Finlay. And I feel like it kind of sucks that they had to boo David Finlay, because it's like, David Finlay, once again, he didn't do anything wrong. He's not a bad wrestler. They just didn't care for him that night. So I felt like that kind of really sucked on his end, because he really didn't deserve that. But, that's just how it is, these wrestling fans nowadays. And the match itself, like I said, it was good at best. I don't really think it's anything to brag home about. Most people won't remember this match in like 2 days. Jay White did win the match with the Blade Runner to retain the Never Openweight Championship. After the match, Ishii came out. They went face to face. So it looks like he's next in line. It looks like that Never Openweight Championship is going to be staying in the States for a while, which is cool. That's cool. I think it is interesting they have the Never Openweight Championship staying in New Japan of America, but then you also have the NJPW Strong Openweight Championship. You have 2 Openweight Championships on the same show. That part can get a bit confusing. So, I mean, I'm not saying change the name of a title, but like, y'all brought in 2 Openweight Championships, and now you got to specify which is which, because they both have the Openweight name in them. But nonetheless, Jay White and Ishii look like they're set to have a program on NJPW Strong. That might be something to watch if you're not interested in the product like I am, but could be looking into your American product. And then you had the main event of the show, Lance Archer versus Hiroshi Tanahashi for the IWGP United States Championship. Tanahashi, big match ace, the ace of the universe, in here with Lance Archer. I didn't know what kind of match they would have in the main event, because, if they had a match at the G1 Climax, which they've had before, it would be a Lance Archer paced style match where it's a lot of clobbering, a lot of, putting down. Like, I've seen them have a match before, and the match they had in the past was actually good. And I think it was actually one of Lance Archer's better matches, aside from his match with Kota Ibushi in G129. But when you hop into a main event of a big show with Tanahashi, it's like you're going to wrestle a Tanahashi style match. And my question was like, could Lance Archer wrestle that match? His size, his frame, his build, he doesn't move slowly or anything, but like, he doesn't wrestle that style that Tanahashi does at all. So I'm like, could he do that Tanahashi epic style match? And the answer was kinda. Like, he held up well, and I think a lot of this match, you did see a lot of his style spliced in here. But when it came down to a Tanahashi style match, I didn't think he matched up too well. Like I said, I thought the match itself was good. I don't think it was the best match on the show. I would still give that edge to Moose and Ishii. But it was Tanahashi who won the match after hitting 3 back-to-back high-five flows. The standing one to the back of Archer, then one to the face, the front of Archer. And got the pin to become the new IWGP United States Champion, much to the excitement and the happiness of the crowd and myself. Jon Moxley was on commentary for the show and has called out Tanahashi on AEW television. He was visually frustrated when Tanahashi won. He got up and he left, which I thought was interesting that he didn't get to the ring and challenge him. He just left. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what's going on there. He seemed mad that Tanahashi won. Like, I would imagine that if you want to face Tanahashi so badly and you were the former U.S. champion, you should be elate. I'm not saying he should get up and, start cheering and get in the ring and shake his hand and raise his arm or anything. But he should be like, a little like smirking or something that, okay, yeah, you won the championship that I lost. Now I have a reason to actually face you. But he looked mad that Tanahashi won. I'm like, did you want a rematch, Archer? Because you seem like you wanted Tanahashi really badly. I don't know. The way he reacted just kind of confused me. But anyway, that was his reaction. Then Archer got into the ring, and he's putting over Tanahashi, saying how he's the GOAT, he's this, he's that. I lost to you in the past, I'll lose to you again. He didn't say it directly, but I'm paraphrasing. And he basically said that he wants a rematch against Tanahashi, and he wants it in AEW. And Tanahashi basically said, okay, I promise you, we'll get your match. So it all but confirmed that Tanahashi will be coming to AEW. It's a matter of when and where. And I always gotta say where now, because AEW has 3 shows. They have not their pay-per-views. I can't say that's a show, but more likely if you have a Tanahashi, he's going to be on a pay-per-view like an All Out or a Full Gear Revolution. But then you also have Dynamite or Rampage. Do you put Tanahashi on Rampage to get the ratings up, to get the viewers up? Or do you put him on your prime show, your flagship show, Dynamite, where you have 2 hours and more time to give him matches? Because let's be honest, you put Tanahashi on Rampage, he ain't getting his 30-minute classic. You put him on Dynamite, you could actually get a 30-minute classic out of him on Dynamite. You just got to cut some matches out, cut some segments out. Rampage, you can't do that unless you're doing a one-match show, because that's how Tanahashi wrestles. But I can't wait to see Tanahashi in AEW. I'm leaning towards them doing the match between him and Jon Moxley at All Out, but we don't know. I think if that is a direction, we might start seeing that as early as this week, because once again, they have like 2 weeks, 3 weeks leading it to All Out. They don't really have a lot of time to be building up new stories, so they might want to start that very soon. But that was the show. And before I get out of that, there was one thing I did not mention. I want to wait till the very end of my review to mention this. And that was the return of the former, or should I say current, IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Will Ospreay. Turned up on the show, I believe, right after the Hikuleo and Juice Robinson match. He came out, suit and all, with a black satchel and something inside of it. He got into the ring. He announced that he is medically cleared to wrestle in competition. He came back much faster than I expected, so that's good. And you know what I said? I said it earlier in the year that I got Will Ospreay most likely pegged to maybe even win the G1 Climax this year, with the way they're setting up the storyline with him and Okada. I said that, okay, you do your Okada and Ospreay match at Wrestle Kingdom, which they did, and Will Ospreay lost. Then you do your second match at Grand Slam, which they didn't do because, you know, Will Ospreay got injured. But if they would have done it, I'm 100% certain that Okada would have probably won that match. Then Ospreay wins the G1 Climax. You do the third match in the Tokyo Dome at Wrestle Kingdom 16, which would then be 3 dome matches between those guys. Like, that's not how I would have done it, but I could have seen it going that way. So I already had in my head that Will Ospreay is going to win G1 Climax 31. But then he came out here and he said that he is not going to be in G1 Climax 31. I'm like, oh, well, that's already some work with some match, you know, some 5-star matches, work rate matches already thrown out the door. Because much as I don't like Will Ospreay personally, I can't deny the fact that he's a lot of the reason why the G1 Climax in the last 2 years has been a must-watch tournament, because he's been out there putting bangers the last 2 years we've seen him. So I was like, okay, that's a little bit of a blow to the G1 Climax, but of course you still have other guys in there, but I'll talk about that in a second, about all the guys that are losing right now from the G1 Climax. But then he said, not only am I not participating in G1 Climax 30, but I'm not going back to Japan. And I'm like, oh, you're signing with AEW? Good for you. But then he explained it, and it makes sense. And I was cheering, I was smirking, I was cheesing. I was like, yep. Because I said the same exact thing, Ospreay. You've been listening to my podcast. Why don't you come on sometime? Anyway, so he explained it as the company stripped him of the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship after suffering his neck injury, despite many wrestlers in the past going several months without defending their championship and never being stripped. The earliest really example before the one I'm about to mention here, you could even say Chris Jericho in 2018 when he beat Tetsuya Naito for the IWGP IC Championship at Dominion 2018. He didn't defend that championship again until November 2018. So from July to August, which is 1 month, September, October, November. Jericho went 4 months without defending that championship. And Ospreay was only out for 4 months. Not even that. Ospreay. When did Ospreay face Shingo? Hold on. 1 second. Ospreay versus Shingo. I'm pretty sure he faced him in May, right? May, April. They faced off in May, bro. Shingo and Ospreay had their match in May. So from May to June is 1 month. July. He literally only been out for 3 months. And they stripped him. So yeah, you have a lot of reason to be angry at this company. They didn't straight Chris Jericho when he was the champion and then defended for 4 months. But then he brought out a point that I've brought up several times on my YouTube channel. He pointed out that Jon Moxley was IWGP United States champion for well over a year and never defended a championship. And he's absolutely right. Jon Moxley won the U.S. He's not the champion anymore, but when he did win the championship, he won it, and I was there in the arena in Wrestle Kingdom 14 on January the 4th. And he held that title all the way up until, what, May or June of this year? So he held it for about a year and a half. But he didn't actually defend the championship again. Let me be fair. He defended the championship twice after beating Juice. He defended the day after against Lance Archer. Then, no, he defended it. He won it from Lance Archer. Then he defended it the day after against Juice. And then he defended it a month later against Minoru Suzuki. So after the Minoru Suzuki defense, COVID hit. That's not his fault. I can't blame Jon Moxley. But he held that championship hostage for an entire year. An entire calendar year before defending it again against Kenta. And then he beats Kenta. So for an entire 365 days, you had no U.S. champion. But y'all didn't strip him. But yet, Ospreay was injured and was only out for 3 months, and y'all stripped. Yeah, they stripped him they almost stripped him right away. They're like, yeah, no, he's done. Get that championship off of him. So they stripped him. Ospreay said, yeah, rightfully so. Fuck that company. And I said, you know what? Yeah, F them. I agree with you because you basically gave my point. He should never have been stripped in the first place. So he brought the attention back to Japan. He says if they want him back, then he's going to have to address the situation that is pertaining to the current and fake champion, Shingo Takagi, who is currently out with COVID with Bushi, so hopefully he gets better. He then went on to go back and grab the black satchel that he had earlier and revealed his own version of the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, claiming that he will defend it anywhere, anytime, and any place. And even through not even a little jab, but he kind of alluded to AEW. He said that they left the key under the mat of the forbidden door. He didn't say the forbidden door, but he left the key under the mat and that he might just walk through that door and introduce himself. He didn't say the forbidden door, but he said the door. We all know what the door is, the forbidden door. This led to crowd chants of AEW, to which he told the crowd to shut up. Nobody cares about those little dreams of AEW, which is kind of funny. He said that he's going to make New Japan Strong his new home. So Ospreay is going to be staying in the States on NJPW Strong. And listen, I'll wait a second. Because here's how I see this storyline playing out. You have Shingo in Japan as the champion. And you have Ospreay in the States as the champion. Ospreay already said he's going to defend the championship anywhere for however long he's the champion for. So we could see Ospreay defending that world championship in AEW, which is a fun idea to even think about. We could see Ospreay defending that championship in Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, in NXT. I'm just kidding. We could see him defend that championship anywhere, and he could defend it also in NJPW Strong, which he basically said he wasn't going to because it's filled with a bunch of LA Dojo losers. And I brought out Karl Fredricks and Carl Connors, who wanted some of him, but he left. This is basically the similar storyline to CM Punk and John Cena in 2011. You guys remember CM Punk beat John Cena for the WWE Championship at at Money in the Bank 2011, one of the greatest matches of all time. And he left. And what I hated about that is that he came back literally a week later. Like, he basically said, I'm leaving with the championship, because the storyline was that his contract was going to expire the night of Money in the Bank, and that John Cena would have to beat him in order for him not to walk out with the WWE Championship. Except the fact that he won, and it's like, oh, I'm going to go to Ring of Honor. He didn't say he's going to go to Ring of Honor. He's like, I might show up in Ring of Honor. I might go here. I might go there. But he literally was gone for a week, and then he came back. Like, there was not really a lot of time to speculate, not a lot of time to be like, oh, he might do this, he might do that. Like, he came back so quickly. And they had the match at SummerSlam. And if I'm correct, I believe John Cena won the match at SummerSlam. But I might be wrong. I might be mixing up my logic there. But it's a similar storyline where you might have two WWE champions. Well, you had two WWE champions. Now you're going to have two World Heavyweight champions in New Japan. And here's how I think it will go. I think Will Ospreay will be down in the States for maybe a few months. We're in August now, so probably September, October, November. And I think that he will likely come back in time for like a power struggle where the briefcase holder is going to... Well, I think the real question here is, are they doing 2 nights of Wrestle Kingdom or just 1? If they're doing 1 night of Wrestle Kingdom, then my plans might be foiled. But I think that he'll come back. The winner of the G1 Climax will challenge Shingo. And then the winner of that match will challenge Will Ospreay on night 2 for both World Heavyweight Championships to crown a definitive champion. That's if they're doing 2 nights of Wrestle Kingdom. If they're doing 1 night, I don't know how they're going to pull it off. I don't know how they're going to pull it off to do 1 night because you still have G1 Climax. And the G1 Climax winner is entitled to face the champion in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom. If not, then you're kind of ruining the entire concept of the G1 Climax. So, I don't know how that's going to play out. But here's the thing. You have Will Ospreay in New Japan Strong as the World Heavyweight Champion. That's going to get some eyes on that product. So, you got a lot of interest there. That's a lot of good stuff going into it. Here's my thing, though. Now, while it looks like Tanahashi's making his way back to Japan in time for the MetLife Dome show on September 4th and September 5th, you have guys like Jay White, guys like Tomohiro Ishii, guys like Juice Robinson and David Finlay, and now Will Ospreay, who are booked up for future New Japan of America tours in the next coming months, which coincide with G1 Climax dates, which basically mean that those guys I just named, Jay White, Ishii, Juice, David Finlay, and Will Ospreay, will not be in G1 Climax 31. And those guys, with the exception of David Finlay, are some staple names in G1 in the past years. Jay White's been in G1 Climax since G1 28. Ishii's been in there for several years. Juice has been in there since G1 27. Will Ospreay's been in there since G1 29, but those are some key guys. Key guys, especially considering that Jay White has been a finalist at one point. Ishii has been a staple and putting on bangers every single year. Juice Robinson, he's put on some really good matches. And Will Ospreay's been putting on bangers every single year he's been in. I'm not mad that they're not in it, but at the same time, I'm like, well, who's replacing them is my question. Because you have a roster, but you're not putting Joe Schmoes in the tournament. And I'm not seeing New Japan picking talent from Noah to put in this tournament. So it's like, who do you slot in here? And when I think of that, I'm like, you know what? I had an idea a few podcasts ago where you insert some juniors in here. Why not? So I'm seeing this and I'm thinking about, okay, Bad Luck Fale, obviously is a gimme. I don't want him in the tournament personally. I'm stuttering and shit here. Let me drink some water. Let me drink some water. Hold on a second. Let me cleanse my throat. Personally, I don't really care for Bad Luck Fale as a wrestler, but let me not say that again, so he doesn't come to my house and chop the shit out of me. But I think he's a gimme. Hiromu Takahashi, if he is back in time, he should be in G1 Climax 31. He was not in G1 Climax 30, which was a highway robbery. He should be in it this year. El Desperado, I believe he lost the championship to Robbie Eagles. So I guess maybe not Despy, maybe Robbie Eagles could be in G1 Climax since, you know, the Junior Heavyweight Champion in 29 was in it. Maybe have Robbie Eagles in it and put he and Hiromu in the same block. Jon Moxley, I would say there's a 2-week gap between the G1 Climax and All Out, if I'm correct. Let me do my math real quick. Let me do my maths real quick. September 5th is All Out. 2-week gap? Yeah, there's 2 weeks in between September 5th and September 19th. So, realistically, if they have Jon Moxley wrestle All Out, you can literally take him out of the equation, have him enter in G1 Climax, be back in time for Full Gear. That's what I would do. And then lastly, I would throw in SHO Tanaka. Now you're probably saying, why SHO? Now, personally, I love SHO. SHO's my guy. I love SHO. SHO's great. But then, I gotta talk about this thing that just happened 2 days ago on NJPW television. And that's that SHO turned on Yo. Roppongi 3K is no more. I ain't gonna lie, I was shocked. I was shocked because New Japan has kept this team together for ages, bro. Ages. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm disappointed because at the same time, they were due for a breakup a long time ago. Not even but a breakup, but, they were due to split apart for a while. Because I said this before. SHO Tanaka, in my opinion, he's the shining star of the whole team. Like, SHO Tanaka is the guy they're going to push. Yo is good, but SHO is better. And whenever Yo is injured, because Yo's been injured at least 2 or 3 times in their run, SHO has done his own singles run, a little singles run here and there, and each and every single time he excels. He excels, whether it be in BOSJ, whether it be his little stint in the Never division, he excels. And then Yo comes back and he starts teaming again, and then it's like, damn. Damn. So now that SHO is done with him, it looks like he might be joining Suzuki-gun, which, fuck, let's fucking go. You know what I mean? Like, why not have him go up to the heavyweight division? He's ready. He's already had battles with Shingo before that have been great. Imagine his battles with Okada. Imagine his battles with Tanahashi. Imagine his battles in there with Juice and Ishii. Like, he could have great matches with just about anybody on that show. The only thing that might make some people doubt him is his height, because I don't believe SHO is that tall. It might be like, what, 7'10"? 5'10"? He's 5'8". He's my height. He's 5'8", 5'9". So, yeah, he's short, technically, by the wrestling standards. By female standards, he's short. So, yeah, that will be his disadvantage. Will be the shortest guy in the heavyweight division. But he can fucking go. Will Ospreay is like, I think maybe Grayson 6 feet, maybe 6'1". Let me see. Will Ospreay is the tallest guy in the world. How tall is Will Ospreay? 6'1". All right, so Will Ospreay's standard height for a wrestler. So I guess you could kind of get away with Will Ospreay. How tall is Ricochet? How tall is Ricochet? Ricochet's 5'9". Ricochet is 5'9". Now, Ricochet was never in the heavyweight division, but they sure the hell pushed the hell out of him in the junior division and had him having some like good tag matches in New Japan. I don't think it's impossible to have a guy like SHO be in the heavyweight division, as long as you get past the height disadvantage he's going to have against guys like Okada. I mean, if you put him in there with somebody like Ishii, he's going to be a fucking powerhouse. But other than that, SHO should be in there putting on bangers. That's my thing. That's my thing. As far as Yo, what happens with him? I mean, he gonna be in chaos still. He gonna be doing his thing. This is his time to excel on his own, because SHO has proven himself. Yo really has not. Whenever Yo is in the BOSA tournament, he has good matches, but none of them are ever standout. SHO always has the standout matches. This is Yo's time to prove that he is not going to be in SHO's shadow no more. And obviously, because they had a turn happen, this is going to build up to a singles match. And I hope they'll extend this out to Wrestle Kingdom, because that is the perfect place to do it. Because that's where they've won their first tag team championships. That's where they should have their first, official like singles match as a feud. They've had a singles match before, but as a feud, this should happen in Wrestle Kingdom. If they want to do it earlier, maybe you can do it at like a King of Pro Wrestling and do the rematch at Wrestle Kingdom, but I would personally hold off until WK in January. But I'm excited for what's to come for SHO and Yo. Let's talk about AEW now. So AEW Rampage was last Friday. The debut episode did 751,000 fans. This week, I predict it will do at least 1 million. We'll see how high the ratings go, though, because they didn't actually announce CM Punk. They just been teasing him. But I think they're going to do at least 1 million. On that show, they had Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega for the Impact Wrestling World Championship, a match that I honestly believe they should not have done, because now you've already kind of given away the match you're already going to do at All Out 2 weeks earlier. So I don't think they should have done this match on Rampage, but I get it. It was a good match. It went about 17 minutes. Christian Cage, he defeated Kenny Omega with a kill switch on a steel chair. And this was due to the fact that the Young Bucks interfering. They tossed steel chair into the ring to aid Kenny Omega, and it turned on him, and Christian Cage used it and hit the kill switch and pinned Kenny Omega, and he won the Impact World Championship. So that's cool for Christian Cage, who is a former TNA NWA champion. What is to be for the future match they're having it All Out, though? Because now that Christian's already beaten Kenny Omega, it's like, well, he's not going to beat him again All Out if they have their match. Obviously, Kenny's going to win now. But do you even do the match at All Out? Because it's like they've already had a full-length match. Like, as you can say, oh, they're going to do a 30-minute match All Out. But nobody wants to see that shit. No one wants to see Christian Cage in a 30-minute match. Do you? I don't, personally. But it's like, y'all already did a full-length match. There's really not a reason to do a second match because Christian already beat him. Kenny doesn't need to get a win back. Kenny's an established guy who really has not lost a singles match. I said it before, in 2 years. This is his first singles match in 2 years. Kenny is not losing much by losing this championship or losing this match. So he does not need a win back. So what do? You could do champion versus champion, but then that kind of defeats the whole purpose of this match happening. If Christian won and then he just loses it back 2-3 weeks later. Do you do Christian Cage getting attacked by somebody and he has to pull out of the match? I don't know what they do. Going into All Out. But Christian Cage is the new champion. We'll talk about that in the next podcast. We had Miro versus Fuego del Sol. And I thought that was it was a squash match, but Fuego del Sol got a good amount of offense for like the very first 2 minutes. And then once Miro turned the offense, it was over. He won with the game over. And Fuego del Sol tapped out. And the stipulation of that match was that if Fuego wins, he not only becomes the new TNT champion, but he receives a contract from AEW. Now, he lost the match, so he did not. But then right after we came back from commercial break, you had Sammy Guevara come out with a contract in hand. And it was a nice moment. He offered it to Fuego del Sol, saying he's all elite. Fuego del Sol was crying, and they hugged. And it was a nice moment. It did kind of ruin the stipulation of the match because he lost, and he still got the contract anyway. But it was a nice moment. It was a nice moment. And then the main event of that show was Britt Baker versus Red Velvet for the AEW Women's World Championship. And, of course, Britt Baker being from Pittsburgh, she was the homecoming hero, and Red Velvet was the evil heel. She healed it up a bit in this match. And this was actually probably, I would say, Red Velvet's best match. This was a good match. Nowhere near as good as the opening match. But it was good. I enjoyed it a lot. Britt Baker won with the lockjaw. She struggled a lot because she had a broken wrist. But, she got it overall. And after the match, she put a beat down on Red Velvet some more. And then we saw the return of Jamie Hayter. New look, new hair, new everything. I honestly didn't know that was Jamie Hayter for a second. I didn't know who the hell that was until the announcers said her name. If they would have never said her name, I'll be honest, I would have been like, did they have a fan come in here and attack somebody and not doing shit? Is this fucking, because they always have Frank Kazarian running in. Is this Frank Kazarian in drag? Like, who is this? But it was Jamie Hayter, who has not been seen in really almost 2 years in AEW. She's all elite. She's signed, so she's basically Britt Baker's backup now with Rebel. That's kind of her own little faction they got going on now. Jamie, Britt, and Rebel. Jamie Hayter's a really good talent. I can't wait to see what they do with her. I was really excited when she came into AEW in the very beginning because I saw her work in Stardom. I saw what she could do with B. Priestley, and I'm like, yeah, this is a really good talent for them. And then she disappeared because of COVID. So now that she's actually signed, I'm really pumped. I'm really pumped for what's going to come with her. But now let's talk about Triplemania. Andrade El Idolo had a match with Kenny Omega. The match itself, I thought, was disappointing. Like, it wasn't a bad match by any stretch. But as a dream match goes, it did not fill that expectation that I had. I should have lowered my expectations, I guess. But when you see a name like Andrade El Idolo, who's had one of the greatest matches of all time of Johnny Gargano, and Kenny Omega, who's have goated matches like with multiple guys, you kind of have high expectations. So, I don't feel bad for having high expectations, but I was disappointed a little bit, not gonna lie. Ric Flair shocked the world when he accompanied Andrade El Idolo out to the ring for this match, and shocked the world even more when he got into the ring and started chopping Kenny Omega and getting physical, even locking in a figure four leg lock on Kenny Omega's then manager for the match, Conan. So Ric Flair primed to make his return to AEW, a debut in AEW, make his return to the ring. I hope not. I'm just kidding. I'm capping. I hope I'm capping at least. Tyler Dawes is kind of crazy with his predictions sometimes. Let me not predict that. Let me not predict that correctly, please. The weird thing about this match is that many people pegged Andrade El Idolo to win the match. Even I myself, I thought Andrade was winning. But it came out that Kenny Omega won the match at the One-Winged Angel. After interference, nonetheless. I mean, after a distraction, nonetheless, which I kind of hated. But many fans are confused. Like, what gives? Why did Kenny win this match? Like, Andrade really had no business losing. He is just coming back to AAA. You know what I mean? Like, he's your new guy in AEW, has not lost the match yet. What does he lose? Like, he loses quite a bit from losing to Kenny, because it's like, you're in your home turf, AAA. You're facing off for the Mega Championship. Like, I felt like Kenny Omega did not need to win. And then we got the report from Dave Meltzer that AEW asked AAA not to have Andrade El Idolo lose to Kenny Omega. AEW has control over Omega's finishes in other promotions, which makes sense because Omega's contracted to AEW. So if he's wrestling in other promotions, they should be like, hey, don't have him do this. I get it. And that they asked him not to lose at Triplemania, speculation being that Kenny Omega had already lost to Christian Cage the day earlier on Rampage, and they didn't want him to losing back to back. So, here's my thing. Like I just said, I understand that AEW has control over Omega's finishes, and I get it. I'm not mad at that. Like, as somebody who watches wrestling and understands, I don't understand the business, but like from a business standpoint, I understand that. But if Andrade was pegged to win, and then AEW said, no, we're not going to have you win because we already had him lose the night before, it's kind of corny. Because it's like, they kind of dicked over Andrade for Christian. When, honestly and truly, they didn't have to do the Christian Cage and Kenny Omega match. Like, that's what frustrates me. It's not that even that Christian won, it's that you didn't have to do that match in the first place. So now that you did that match, Andrade got screwed over. Because Andrade should have won this match. I hate to be that guy like, oh, I'm mad because Andrade lost. But yeah, man, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I wanted Andrade to win, like a lot of you did. And it's like, damn, like, y'all really had this man come in here and lose because Christian won the day before? What's wrong with having Kenny Omega lose twice? He ain't looking weak, especially considering that he lost in a different promotion. I understand that, yeah, it's still Kenny Omega losing, but he's not losing in AEW. He lost in AAA. He's going to lose in AAA at some point in time. That record in AAA ain't affecting his AEW record, is it? That belt that he already lost two. He's losing another one. Okay, the belt collector gimmick is done. Whoop-de-damn-do. It was never going to last forever. He was never going to be the quadruple champion for years and years to come. He was going to lose those championships at some point. Might as well lose them all at once. Not the AEW championship, of course, but lose those championships at once. You already had the shows back to back. That was the time to do it. Him holding the AAA championship for what? For what? He didn't even defend the championship not one time during his run, aside from his match with what? Ray, not I'm gonna say Ray Orris. Aside from Laredo Kid, last Triplemania was the last time he defended that championship, if I'm correct. Triplemania last year was the last time he defended that championship. He ain't defended that championship not one time in between then and this match. And you mean to tell me he should be holding that championship for longer? It's a prop. That championship is a prop for Kenny Omega in AEW. He ain't defended that championship in AEW. He defended that championship one time in AEW against Sammy Guevara. He does not need that championship. There was no reason for Kenny Omega to retain. And yeah, you could say, oh, you don't want to look weak. Bro, once again, this is not a loss in AEW. If you're not an AEW fan, you don't watch this show, you would have never known. That belt would have just disappeared and you'd be like, oh, what happened to that other championship he held? You probably didn't even know the name of the championship because they don't even mention that fucking championship on air. Hell, I think there might have been some weeks where he didn't even hold that fucking championship. So once again, why did he have to lose? Why did he have to be Andrade? It didn't need to happen. I ain't gonna let that press me, bro, but like, I thinking about it, it's like, this whole situation could have been avoided if they never did the Christian match. I'll just keep on saying it. They did not need to do Christian versus Kenny this early, especially when you already announced it for All Out. It didn't need to happen, bro. It really didn't need to happen. But let me go away from that. We're going to hop into the preview section of this podcast. Before we get into it, make sure you guys smash the like button. Let's get this video to 20 likes. And subscribe to the socials you see above. AEW Dynamite is tonight. And they got a pretty stacked card for this show. Britt Baker's back in action, which Her wrist is hurt, so I'm expecting Jamie Hayter to replace her. Ricky Starks going one-on-one with Brian Cage. It's not confirmed to be for the FTW Championship, so I'm going to say that Ricky Starks win for some BS reason. Please give me Hook soon. Thank you. Not like that. Please give me the wrestler Hook soon. Thank you. Shawn Spears versus Sammy Guevara. And he's going to be having a major announcement after the match. Sammy Guevara has a major announcement after that match. I don't know what it is, considering that he already announced that Fuego del Sol is signed. So, is he having a kid too? Because Heyman Page is having a kid. Kenny Omega's probably having a kid soon, for all I know. People having kids popping out left to right. Brandy just had a kid. Moxie just had a kid. I mean, I'm saying these men had kids like they had kids themselves, but you know what I mean. I don't know what the announcement is. Sammy's winning the match, though. That's all I know. We have the Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. You know what? Since Christian already won, why not have Jurassic Express win the match too? Because why not? Christian already won. Why not have Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus win? And considering, here's my thing about the Young Bucks and their World Championship reign. I don't hate the Young Bucks. I like the Young Bucks. I think they're a really good, even sometimes great tag team. I don't like their gimmicks, but I'm not supposed to like their gimmicks. My thing with the Young Bucks is that these guys have literally beaten every tag team in their division. What tag team have they not beaten yet? Can you name me one? I can't think of one. Let me look this up. AEW tag teams. If there's a list online, that might be a bit more easier for me. List of currently active AEW tag teams. Let's see. The Acclaimed. They've beaten the Acclaimed. TH2. They've beaten TH2. FTR. They beat them for the tag team championships. SCU. They've beaten SCU. PMP. Proud and Powerful. They've beaten them. Best Friends. I don't think they faced the Best Friends yet, but if they did, I'm pretty sure they've beaten them too. Private Party. They've beaten them already. Death Triangle. They've beaten them before, but not as a tag team champion. So if they want to do that, they could. 2.0 has not been faced off yet. Butcher and the Blade beat them. They still have Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky. They beat Moxie and Kingston. They've beaten most of the tag. The only tag teams left that I don't think they've beaten or really faced off against is Death Triangle, which isn't fresh because they faced off before, but it's been a long time. Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, but they're heels, so you can't do heel versus heel match. And the Best Friends, but then Trent is injured, so you can't do that. So right now, the only team that I feel like should be primed to face the Young Bucks is Death Triangle. And they're not really primed to face them yet. So it's like Jurassic Express, if they lose, who is left aside from Death Triangle? That is the issue you run when you have tag team championship matches like every other month and then you win them. This is what I feared would happen when the Elite became champions, is that they would beat their roster. If I can call Cody Rhodes out for doing the same thing, the Young Bucks should be held accountable too. I don't like the fact they just beat most of their tag team division. I'm not saying to make them like chumps, but who is supposed to beat them now? Jurassic Express, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of rooting for them to win this match. And you might say, oh, but there's no story. Does there have to be at this point? Does there really have to be a story for the Young Bucks to lose? They've been champions for almost a year now. They won those championships back in Full Gear, which is, 2-3 months away? Almost a year-long reign as champion? They've been holding those championships for a long time now. I think it's time. I'm not begging for them to win, but you know what? If they win, I'm happy. If they don't win, it's up to Death Triangle to get the job done. If not Death Triangle, it should be Santana and Ortiz when they beat FTR. But I wouldn't go too much longer with the Young Bucks as champion. MJF versus Chris Jericho. The fifth labor of Jericho. No Judas entrance. No Judas effect on Chris Jericho as a stipulation. I think MJF wins this match. And they do a second match at All Out. I don't know what the stipulation to the All Out match is going to be, because you got to do a rematch right after the fact, which is going to be another rematch on that show. AEW, please be careful with this. I know WWE does it all the time, and fans give them shit, but they still tune in. But please don't go down that road of doing rematches this close to each other. I really don't like this. I really don't like that. I think MJF wins this. And then the main event of the show, Darby Allin and Sting making his AEW Dynamite debut goes up against 2.0 in a Texas Tornado Tag Team match. It should be really fun. I think Darby and Sting win. And I think after the match, I think Darby Allin sets his eyes on the prize and calls out CM. I don't think he's either going to call out CM Punk by name, or he's going to allude to CM Punk on the show again and really get people amped for that show. If I'm AEW, I think I might even just name drop CM Punk on the show. So that way you can guarantee a viewer ratings. You don't got to say CM Punk's appearing, but call CM Punk out by name. That way you guarantee people tune in for the show for him. That's what I would do, personally. We've been building up to it long enough. People already speculate. You might as well just say it. NXT Takeover 36 is this Sunday. I will be watching it live and live streaming it. Let's talk about the card they have coming up. I don't watch NXT. I can't really comment on the storylines, but I'll predict the matches. We have LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes for the $1 Million Championship. And if Grimes loses, Ted DiBiase must become LA Knight's butler. Don't care for the feud. I don't watch. I'm going to say that Cameron Grimes wins the $1 Million Championship. Raquel Gonzalez defends the NXT Women's Championship against Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai is the heel in the feud now. And she's been chasing that championship for like years. She's been in NXT for like 5 years almost now. Dakota Kai has been. If there were time to put the title on her, it may not be now, but it should be soon. However, I don't think Raquel is the girl she's beating for it. So I think that Raquel is going to retain the championship. Karrion Kross versus Samoa Joe for the NXT championship. Drink some water real quick. A match with a lot of build up to it, but a match I don't think is main eventing in the show. And I'll explain that in a bit. Who wins? With the way they're really building up this Karrion Kross Jeff Hardy feud on Raw as if he's already on the Raw brand. So for that reason alone, I think Samoa Joe's beating him. I will be shocked if Karrion Kross retains the NXT championship, because he's already being treated like a star on Raw. I mean, not like a star. I mean, they had the guy fucking job out on night one, but they're already having him wrestle week to week on Monday Night Raw at this point. So at this point, Samoa Joe wins the NXT championship. He could be a transitional champion for all I care, but I think Samoa Joe should beat Karrion Kross. We have Volta going 800, possibly even 900 days very soon as NXT UK champion, defending against Ilya Dragunov. They had one of the greatest matches in WWE history last year for the UK championship. We're about to be 10 months removed, and we're finally getting the rematch. Not 10 months, 8 months removed. We're finally getting a rematch. Ilya should have won in the first match. He did not. I think he's winning this match. Because if he does not, I don't know who beats Vulture. You might as well just retire the championship, because he's never going to lose it. I think Ilya Dragunov wins this match. And then what I presume will be the main event of the show, we have Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole, 2 out of 3 falls match. No title, but it is their last match, their swan song. 2 out of 3 falls. First falls being a singles match. Second fall being a street fight. Third fall being a steel cage. I think Kyle O'Reilly gets the first fall. Adam Cole gets the second fall. And Kyle O'Reilly gets the third fall. I think if Adam Cole is really on his way out, this is his swan song and he loses. And if he is staying in WWE, I think he's still losing and he's just going to Raw or SmackDown. But either way, Adam Cole is on his way out of NXT. He's losing this match to Kyle O'Reilly. WWE SummerSlam is this Saturday. I know it's odd to say SummerSlam is on a Saturday because WWE is a very Sunday-centric show, but it is this Saturday. And we have a pretty big card for you guys that I have not seen the build up for about any of these matches aside from the main event. And I'll preview the card for you right now. We have Alexa Bliss versus Eva Marie. That match is going to be garbage. I can't believe they're still running this Alexa Bliss Fiend gimmick. And I can't believe Eva Marie's going to wrestle her. But yeah, that's going to happen. It's going to suck. Alexa's going to win. We have AJ Styles and Omos defending the Raw Tag Team Championships against Randy Orton and Riddle. RK Bro is back, and they're winning the Tag Team Championships. Simple as that. We have Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal. I don't know the story. I don't really care. I think Drew's winning. Sheamus versus Damian Priest for the United States Championship. I feel like I've seen these guys have like 3 matches on Raw already, and I don't even watch Monday Night Raw, but I feel like I've seen them have matches already. I've seen one of them because Raw played in my break room one day, and I actually sat down and watched the show for 15 minutes, and the match that I watched was Sheamus and Damian Priest, and they had a really good match. So this match should be really good as well, but I think Damian Priest comes out the new U.S. champion. If he doesn't, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. The Usos faced off against the Mysterios for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, which I believe that the Mysterios will retain. They'll get back the championships. Nikki Ash defends her Raw Women's Championship against Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. Nikki Ash, she's been champion for a month, and that is as long as her championship reign is going to go, because I believe that Charlotte Flair will pull a SummerSlam 2018, and she will win the championship at this show and piss off the fans like she does every time she wins the championship. And then Nikki Ash will turn heel, and she'll become the Becky Lynch of the Raw brand that we all desperately need. Cap, of course. Bianca Belair defends the SmackDown Women's Championship against Sasha Banks. The main event of WrestleMania 37 on this show. It's going to be great. And I'm going to make a bold prediction here. But I believe that Sasha Banks will win back the SmackDown Women's Championship. But we'll get one more match out of these women. Probably at the next show. Maybe even Survivor Series. We have Seth Rollins versus Edge, a dream match. Hopefully not the caliber of Andrade and goddamn Kenny Omega. I'm going to say that Seth Rollins wins that match. We have Bobby Lashley defending the WWE Championship against Goldberg. I hate to say it, but Goldberg's going to win the championship and piss off fans. I can't even be too mad at this because it's Goldberg and I should expect this kind of result. So I'm just tired, bro. That's my reaction. I'm just tired. And then the main event of the show, Roman Reigns defends the Universal Championship against John Cena. Here is the thing about this that I feel like my friend brought up that made me kind of turn my head and say, you know what? This could happen. I think because Ric Flair showed up at AAA, Vince McMahon is a very, very, very petty man. And I think he is petty enough to see that Ric Flair left the company, showed up in AAA, and that he would be the guy to have John Cena beat Roman Reigns and become a 17-time champion just to take out Ric Flair's reign. And then AEW will be like, all right, bet Ric Flair will beat... will beat Kenny Omega, become the AEW World Champion. I'm just kidding. But I feel like I heard that and I'm like, I don't want that to happen. But you know what? Vince McMahon is petty enough to pull some bullshit like that. I believe that entirely and ruin Roman's reign. However, Roman Reigns has been their guy for several years. And I don't think he's going to be the expense of John Cena. Especially when John Cena is a Hollywood star and won't be back for several more months. Or even a whole year. Who knows? I think Roman Reigns retains the Universal Championship and holds on to it for several more months. And guys, that is Chill Spell Podcast episode 61. What do you guys think about my predictions, my reviews, my critiques? Comment down below. Let your boy know. Go follow me on TikTok. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go follow me on Twitter. I love you as always, and I will see you guys next week for episode 62 when we will talk about CM Punk's return to pro wrestling. Peace out, guys.